Okay, so it does look like Joe Burrow will be coming back to play Thanksgiving against the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday Night Football. Joe Flacco has missed the past, I believe, 11 weeks of the season after the injury to the Jacksonville Jaguars that he suffered leaving the game early. Since then, the Bengals have only won one game, and they came close to winning two other games. They just blew two late leads to the Chicago Bears and New York Jets. And they are third in their division. They are two games behind both the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to play the Ravens twice in the next 3 weeks, and they split the series with the Steelers 1-1. And I'm not really sure why Joe Burrow is coming back for the Bengals. I know he's a lot better than what Joe Flacco and Jake Browning have been, but they're nowhere near playoff contention, and a lot would have to go their way for them to even make the playoffs. They would have to run the table and then some. I know they had a similar sort of season last year when they ran the table and got to 9-8, but I just don't see that happening again. They have to play the Ravens, Bills, and Ravens again. They do have an easy schedule after that, playing the Dolphins, Cardinals, and the Browns, but I just don't see them winning 6 in a row, and you'd have to ask for a lot for everything else to fall into place. You would have to expect the Ravens and Steelers to both just fall apart, or just everybody else in the AFC from the Bills, Chiefs, Jaguars, and Texans to all fall apart. And that's just asking for too much. And you'd also have to rely on this Bengals team that has not been good both offensively and defensively all season. The offensive line, although hasn't been horrible this year in terms of allowing sacks, they're in the bottom half of sacks allowed, 24th in sacks given up, in between like the Lions with 24 and the Chiefs with 23 and the Eagles with 23. So they've been okay with not getting quarterback sacked, but they've still been giving up quite a lot of pressures, and their run blocking has not been good either. They're going to also be without T. Higgins for at least this week, and Trey Hendrickson is going to continue to be out. And even with Trey Hendrickson, that defense is terrible. They're bottom in that league in sacks. They're bottom in the league in pressure. The secondary is awful. This is just an awful defense, and I don't see them winning out and getting into shootouts with every team, because that's the only way they're going to be able to win any of these games, if they get into shootouts with teams and just be the last team scoring, because that's been the only way they've been competitive in any of these games. They do get Jamar Chase back, so that'll be nice. Him and Joe Burrow obviously make a great 1-2 punch. Mike Gesicki is returning to the team as well. Well, he played last week, but so that's another target. But I just don't see a possibility that the Bengals make the playoffs. The only logical reason at least that I can see why Joe Burrow is playing is maybe the Bengals organization can see how bad Zach Taylor is of a head coach with Joe Burrow, and seeing that this team is still horrible, even when Joe Burrow comes back, that now finally Mike Brown will give the thumbs up and allow them to fire Zach Taylor and move on. That's the only logical explanation. Besides that, I'm excited to see Joe Burrow. I think now with Joe Burrow coming into this game against the Ravens, I think it's going to be more of an entertaining game. And I think now the Thanksgiving slate overall looks pretty good, with the Lions and Packers having playoff implication, along with the Chiefs and Cowboys having playoff implications. And now watching Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson, I know he kind of has a toe injury from what I was reading, but it's still going to make a great game. What do you guys think, Bengals fans? Are you guys excited about Joe Burrow coming back? Do you think he should sit out for the rest of the year? Thank you guys for watching. Peace.